Hello everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. And just like that, episode 8 hath aired and passed. And here we are together to talk about it, to review episode 8 together, comment on it, and debate the ups and the downs, the twists and the turns, the fate of the characters, what happened in episode 8. Subscribe to my channel here on the tubes, push the join button next, the subscription button. Become a member today, gain access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon, superdacob all spelled together on Patreon for special extra perks there as well. Thank you to my members and patrons who have already pledged. Thumb up this video and subscribe to my channel. I live stream every Saturday. Let me cue in my wonderful co-reviewers of Sex and the City. Hi, everybody. Not Sex and the City. And just like that. Hi, everybody. How's it going, you guys? How's it going? Hello, hello, hello. So, let's talk about, and just like that, episode 8. Now, the title, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered. To give it a little British accent, bothered, bewitched, bothered, and bewildered, bothered, and bewildered. And everybody's into the bananas today. My, aren't we all in a very banana mood? I wonder why. So, okay, let's address the banana in the room. Now, before... So we can definitely say, I need a big thumbs up for the big banana. There's, oh my God, there was a banana in this? Yes, Asia, there was a banana. Oh, there were two, honey. Yes, okay. Now, as I've said in the previous episodes, we've had this situation of mirroring things. Remember I told you how in the previous episode, Charlotte and Harry are having a fight outside of that tennis court thing, and LTW and her husband see them, and then Charlotte is like, oh, now they're gonna think we're that couple that fights outside. And then that thing is mirrored again at the end of the episode when LTW or LWT is fighting with her husband, and then Charlotte and Harry drop in on them, and then it's like she then says the same, oh no, now Charlotte and her husband are gonna think that we're that couple that fights. Charlotte was afraid that LTW would be the only black friend invited to her party which was full of white people. LTW was afraid that Charlotte would be the only white person full of her black friend party. So they do this kind of, the writers of this show keep mirroring things. They keep that duality coming and going, you know, that kind of, oh, this happens to this character, the same thing, but slightly different happens to the other one. So it's almost like being in a weird dream scenario, like a Twin Peaks episode of tulpas and like doppelgangers. You know, it's like, wait a minute. So the same storyline is happening to different characters with slightly different outcomes and slightly different points of view. So, you know, it's getting a little tired, the repetition of this dualism, the dualities in every episode. And the duality of this episode was the banana. So we see two bananas. We see Harry Goldenblatt's banana towards the beginning of the episode. Charlotte is on her knees in the bathroom, and she's ready. She's on her knees and she's ready to please Auntie. Okay, and Lily pops in. You know, poor Lily. They always give her all of these moments in the show. She always ruins a moment, doesn't she? Lily. People are blaming Lily for the death of Mr. Big. People are blaming Lily for that text message that that Carrie found in the movies, you know, wedding stuff. People blame Lily for the failed on her knees, ready to please moment between Charlotte and Harry. Poor Lily. Lily is she just feels like she's out of place. She's out of touch. It feels like Lily is too much. Oh, these rhymes, you guys. So it's like they use her as a character to always unknowingly create, unbeknownst to her, create issues and drama. It's kind of really sad. Debbie says, I didn't see Harry's banana. Okay, nobody saw Harry's banana because, as I suspected, that banana moved like it was made of silicone. And in fact, my suspicions were confirmed as I watched the writers' podcast on HBO, including Michael Patrick King and all the chicks that co-wrote the show with him. They did confirm that Harry's Willy Wonka was not real. It was a prosthetic. And they did that. And this is kind of sad. Because they said, you know how it is in the original show, Charlotte said, Harry's so ugly, she would never imagine being together. He's so repelling me, except sex is amazing. So the writers thought, well, we have to give Harry a really big schlong, because the schlong is going to guarantee, like, is going to be the reason why Charlotte is with him. I'm like, boy, what a way to go to reduce a man to his eggplant. But then the writers kind of also said, no, but actually, no. I mean, the sex is also really great. It's not just about the schlong. But it is, because we actually had extra budget just to give him the prosthetic schlong. I'm like, okay, so the actor who portrays Harry didn't have a big enough schlong to kind of, but probably because he's, paid well, and he can also probably say, hey, no nudity. I ain't gonna show no schlong. Okay. So they gave him a prosthetic. By the way, Willem Dafoe also dons a pretty big prosthetic in An Nymphomaniac, the Lars von Trier movie. And we all thought it was real. No. But he told me himself it wasn't. He also told me himself that his would have been better, but they didn't want to use his just for safety purposes. Oh, well, little tidbit of information here from me to you from the inside of the Bunker Connections. Now, which brings me to the topic. Damn, they should cast Willem Dafoe in the show. Just saying. Okay. So back to, so now I'm adding a third eggplant. Okay, Willem Dafoe, we love you, but you're not in the show for now. So let's go back to the two eggplants we have. Harry's schlong, and then Carrie meets this chick that moved in underneath her, in the apartment underneath her apartment. And it's kind of like the young version of Carrie. The curly hair. She's like in her 20s. She's like, to me, really boring and cliche, but whatever. She's dressed all preppy and cool and chic, and she's living the life. Sitting on the staircase till 2 or 3 in the morning with her friends, laughing away in New York. That would never happen. But anyway, it happens and just like that. So now Carrie has this situation going on in this episode where she's like archiving and cataloging, which to me, it gives me life. I am an archive mouse. You put me in an archive and I live a happy life. I don't need to see the light of day. I spent the whole time like a good old vampire archiving things. I love that. So when I saw that Carrie was spending the whole episode kind of with racks of clothes in her apartment, archiving her past, her 20s, her 30s, her 40s, archiving them to put them in storage, having Lily to help her, and as a thank you for helping her, she would give Lily some old pieces of hers. And then, that whole archive mouse thing in me. And then I get to see clothes from the OG Sex and the City that Carrie actually wore. She shows us some of the costumes that she wore during the show. So it was kind of a nice little reference that they kept all of that stuff. And Michael Patrick King said that Sarah Jessica Parker actually kept the clothes. Like, I guess maybe according to her contract, she got to keep her own outfits. So it was really cool that she kept them nicely preserved and that she now took them out. And they're using them again in the show. So at a certain point, Seema comes by either to help her or to just have dinner together, because Seema is becoming the new Samantha, slowly but surely. And Seema is there with Carrie. They're having, they're eating. And then Carrie says, okay, girl, you want to see something special? And Seema's like, yes. And Carrie's like, okay. And then she brings out the Versace dress. Interesting that Carrie Bradshaw, of all people, doesn't know how to pronounce Versace. Interesting. Anyway, so she's like, this is my Versace dress. I'm like, Versace? Girl, you're 50. You had 50 years time to learn how to pronounce frickin' Versace. And if you don't know, Click on my video, how to pronounce Gianni Versace. Check out the tutorial up above. But we digress. So here she is. She showed that millefeuille, the 1,000 layers of the Versace dress that we know, the Baryshnikov dress and that special dress when she's in Paris. The dress that costs so much money that Sarah Jessica Parker does not own. That was just kind of rented out or was borrowed by the Ateliers Versace for the OG Sex and the City. And it's so interesting. Michael Patrick King mentions how that dress came to be. Patricia Field was called him one night and said, "You have to come to my atelier now." And he came over and she showed that she's like, "I got this little baby in." They were just working on, Carrie going to Paris, thinking about the script, how to make it, the storyline. And Patricia Field said, "This dress is dying to go to Paris." And he said, "It's too big. We can't get it to Paris. How can Carrie... She's traveling on a low budget, with her suitcase. This dress needs its own airplane. Like, logistically speaking, it makes no sense. There's no way this dress can go to Paris on the budget Carrie was living." And then he said, F it. Let's just do it anyway. Doesn't matter. It's a dream. It's a dream fantasy. Of course, Carrie can have the Versace dress in Paris, and she did. And so then after that, the dress went back to the Versace archives. It was traveling around the world, being exhibited in places, and it ended up being in the Versace ateliers in Milan or somewhere in Italy. So then they were shooting this episode, lockdown, summer. In Italy, everything is closed in summer, plus the lockdown. So they literally couldn't reach anybody at Versace to give them the dress. But of course, you're shooting Sex and the City. People are going to make things happen for you. So they made it happen. The dress then was sent over from Italy to America, and boom, and we got the same dress again. Which, to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't really care for. To me, the Vivienne Westwood wedding dress is the dress. That Versace thing, meh. To be honest with you, meh. But anyway, she's super proud of it. Seema is dying for it, begging for it. Seema said, gift it to me after you die. Put it in your will or something like that. She said something silly like that. And then she wants to smoke a cigarette in that moment. And Carrie says, "No, Seema, do not smoke a cigarette in this house." Canadian moment. And then Seema says, "No, but but I just saw that dress. I feel like I've just had sex. I need to smoke a cigarette now." And then Carrie explains to her why it's not allowed to smoke in the house. She smokes only one cigarette a day. She doesn't want to go back to full-on smoking. If she were to smoke at home, her whole home would smell of smoke, and she's going to constantly be tempted to smoke more and more and more. So instead, she developed this technique, this rather cringe-worthy technique, where she dresses up like a babushka, and like a lady, from the biological marketplace somewhere in the village side, and walks one circle around the block, one cigarette a day, and then she wears gloves and has a little hat and sunglasses and a little she looks like a cleaning lady, like a chic crazy cleaning lady. And she does that, she explains to Seema, because she doesn't want the smell of the smoke to go into her hair, so she doesn't want her hair to smell of smoke. She doesn't want to be tempted. She doesn't want her fingers to smell of nicotine. She doesn't want anything to smell of nicotine so that she doesn't have to smoke more when she comes home. She just says this, but we don't see her wear it yet. A couple of episodes later, actually, let's stay in this episode. So she's talking to Seema, and then we hear loud noises outside. Then she tells Seema, "Hey, Seema, this is my neighbor. She's like super young, super annoying. They're super loud. What to do? This downstairs neighbor is going to come to haunt her again because she's going to be loud again on another night when Carrie's alone at home, and then she's gonna call her buddy from the podcast. Finally, we get to see him in his private life a little bit. I don't know his name, so come for me if you may. I've seen him only once or twice in the show. They gave him no character arc. How am I supposed to remember his name? The little dude. So we're in his home, and even Carrie doesn't know anything about it because he tells her that he has a girlfriend, and she's a fashion designer, and Carrie says, "Oh, you never told me about it." And they just work together all the time, and she knows nothing personal about him. Super sad. But that's kind of the reality of things nowadays. Working relationship isn't necessarily a friendly relationship, right? So anyway, but then if it's not a friendly relationship, why call him at 2 in the morning when you're having a problem with a loud neighbor? She explains it by saying, well, you're the only person I know that would be awake at 2 a.m. Okay, you know that about him, but you don't know that he has a girlfriend now? He obviously isn't together with the lady in the wheelchair anymore because he has a different chick now. But that is not explained either. So, so he tells her something indicative. He tells her, she says, what do I do? How do I make them shut up? I need to sleep. He says, do you have a gun? You need a gun. You need to like shoot at them. And she's like, no, I don't carry weapons and guns. He's like, well, the only experience I have is if you yell at them and you want them to shut up, they're gonna start calling you the Wicked Witch of the West or of the East or of the Upper East Side or Lower East Side, or wherever she is. And this is a little Wizard of Oz reference. We already had the Wizard of Oz reference a couple of episodes ago, where Carrie, they kind of made this duality of Carrie being kind of spun out like in a whirlwind, and then just like Dorothy, she lands in the Wizard of Oz, but then she kind of wants to go. And this was the episode where she meets Natasha. And in the writer's room, they described it as that kind of Dorothy coming back home at the end of Wizard of Oz. So we have a reference now, again, kind of to the Wizard of Oz, because what he says, Wicked Witch of the East, West, or whatever. And so they start mentioning witch. And then she still opens the window and says to them, can you like keep it down? And then they all laugh, ha ha ha. Now, this witch reference, in fact, is also in the title, because the title is Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered. A couple of scenes later, Carrie and Miranda are walking through this kind of little shopping place, and Miranda says, oh my God, that little place closed down. She's like, no, it didn't close down. Something else opened up. And it's a little witch muffin shop. And we have again the reference of the witch. In this case, who's the witch? Carrie or Miranda? Well, the behavioral pattern of how Miranda is betraying Steve would kind of show us that Miranda is the witch. But again, it's Carrie saying to Miranda, I'm the witch. Interesting how they're like keep bringing in the witch. Like, what gives HBO Max? It's not like you're Disney. But Sarah Jessica Parker is the executive producer, so maybe she wanted this witch scenario. Why? 2 + 2 ain't 5, girls. 2 + 2 is 3 + 1. See what I did there? So maybe she's putting in this subconscious promotion of Hocus Pocus 2, baby. Because Hocus Pocus 2 is coming out. Yes, it's Disney. It's not HBO. But it's Sarah Jessica Parker. So, and Sarah Jessica Parker is a witch in Hocus Pocus. And Hocus Pocus 2 is going to come out. And I don't know if they're done shooting or if they're shooting it right now. But there's, Hocus Pocus 2 is just about to be ready. So here we go. Sarah Jessica Parker throwing the witch stuff. And next scene, her door rings at home. She has a green mask on, facial mask, like a witch. She has a face that looks like a witch. Kind of its delicate play on the witch again. The door is ringing. She thinks it's somebody else, but it turns out it's her neighbor from downstairs who just came up to apologize for being so loud or whatever, for whatever reason. And of course, Carrie opens the door with the green face and is super embarrassed because of it. And the neighbor says, I'm so sorry about yesterday. And then Carrie says, oh, no, it's not that I'm old. It's not that I listen, I wasn't sleeping. No. It's because I'm a writer. I write books, darling. I am cool. Okay. So, super cringe scene. The girl says, oh, okay. Okay, bye. Leaves. And Carrie closes the door, looks at herself in the mirror and goes like, oh, God, I look terrible. I look like a witch. So that's the other witch reference. Now, the big problem that she had when she went to the cupcake store or the muffin store with Miranda was, let me buy a little present for my neighbor. Let me gift it to her. And Miranda said, what for? Why are you apologizing? You didn't create all the ruckus. She says, no, I want to apologize for not being cool. And that was kind of cool of her to say, because I feel that way a lot. I actually feel that way right now. But then again, cringe was always my fame to claim. Can it get any more cringe than that? Yeah, it could get more cringe than that. If I say cringe is the new black, in such a woke scenario like we are right now, with it just like that, first of all, you get called out for using the word woke because it is appropriation of black culture. So you can't say that. And if you say it, they come for you. If you say anything is the new black, they come for you because you said it. So it's like kind of like you're tiptoeing, reviewing the show, you're kind of tiptoeing through a minefield of explosions. And it is kind of titillating in many ways. I want to try to harness the ability of maneuvering through wokeism and the forbiddenness of using the term as well. You see what I'm doing here, guys? Just don't take yourself so seriously. This is just a joke, right? But anyway, they do be coming for me in the chats. Not in the chats, in the comments. In the comments. Yes, eggshells and firecrackers, darling. I know, darling. City, darling. Phoenix, city, darling. Eggshells, I'm on it. Crackers, on it. Chanting as we speak, darling. Chanting as we speak. Little ab fab reference there. Okay, so, well, now Carrie wants to give that little sugary treat to her neighbor to apologize for not being cool. She knocks on the door. Nobody answers. She's about to leave, but then the door does open, and it is the guy that her neighbor is fornicating with. And here is a Sex and the City moment, you guys. Yes, sex is coming back to the city. Whew. And is it ever? Now, he's the type of douchebag. The second I saw him already on the staircase, I was like, oh, hell no. This mofo is so in love with himself. Sorry to the actor, by the way, but he gave me such a vile impression. He gave me the feeling that even in real life, he's the type of dude who would literally masturbate while watching himself in the mirror. Like that type of self-entitled, self-absorbed, in love with himself type of person. I just so repelled by him. So anyway, he opens the door. Of course, he's naked, just has a towel around his waist. Carrie says, here to apologize, little, sweet. He's like, we don't eat sugar. And already there, I'm like, okay, here's the douchebag again. This is the type of douchebag that you fornicate with, and then you do the walk of shame the next morning. You remember my review of Christian Dior's Sauvage perfume, the eau de toilette? When I mentioned the douchebag we all love to hate to love, but we still go to bed with them. But the next morning, we are walking the walk of shame. And we're talking Game of Thrones shame. Oh, hold on. Hermes, yes, it's a fashion scenario. And just like that, Christian Lacroix shirt, baby, Hermes crop. So we're not going to whip ourselves, we're going to crop ourselves. Shame, shame, shame. But we still went to bed with him. Shame. But we would do it again. Shame. Let's do it again. Shame. That dude is the epitome of Christian Dior's Sauvage. Okay. Now, so he's like, we don't need sugar. And she's like, oh, yeah, okay, of course, sorry. And then she takes it back. It falls out of his hand. Together with the cookies also falls his towel. And then Carrie's like, ooh, ah, ooh, ooh, ah, ah. I don't know how many facial surprised expressions can a person make within one second. And then we kind of, cameras, different perspective, and we get to see his eggplant. As Miranda from A Devil Wears Prada would say, groundbreaking. I was not impressed, but that's because we already got to see Mr. Harry's eggplant a couple of scenes prior. His was a prosthetic, but they made it big. Okay? He is the new Mr. Big of the show. Mr. Harry's big eggplant. So compared to the first eggplant, this Sauvage douchebag's eggplant seemed really shriveled up and tiny. And talk about pellets. The little eggs that come together with the eggplant, I call them pellets. Talk about the pellets. I was like, where are the pellets? There are no pellets. How come there's no pellets? Like Stewie from A Family Guy, Mom, where are the pellets? Mom, what about the pellets? Where are the pellets? Mom, the pellets, Mom, where are the pellets? So in true Seth MacFarlane comedic demeanor, I could go on for like 10 minutes as they would in Family Guy, repeating, "Where are the pellets, Mom? Mom, where are the pellets, Mom?" I mean, stuff like that can traumatize a kid because a kid would think, well, you got 2 pellets with an eggplant. But if the pellets are missing, what the hell is that then? So if you're going to world to models out there who think they're going to break through in cinema by showing their wee-wees, world to you guys, don't do it if you ain't got the pellets. Because truth be told, it's all about the pellets. Yes, it's also about the eggplant, but we do like a good satchel. A good satchel to go with the eggplant. Think about it this way, ladies and gents. Think about it this way. It's like you're deciding what bag to buy. Yes, we like, the mini bags are quite popular at the moment, but that's just a phase. And it's phasing out, you guys. The big satchels and the shopping bags and the shopping totes, they're coming back, auntie, in style. So when they do come back, you best have one ready because otherwise you're outdated. So enough shade thrown at the self-absorbed model that was in the show. I'm glad, by the way, that in a couple of scenes later, we get to figure out just what a douchebag he really was, because the lady that's fornicating with him, the downstairs neighbor, finds out that he, in fact, was fornicating behind her back. Yes. 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 That pelletless creature was giving it and serving it and zipping it and zooing it all across town. And of course, Carrie consoles the chick downstairs by telling her, "It's the city. What are you going to do? That's what happens. That's what goes down in the city. That's what goes down in the city. No reason to be nitty gritty. Just find yourself a new one to fornicate. Find yourself somebody new to walk back home from in the walk of shame after you've fornicated just because the hormones got the best of you." And that's what happened. Yeah, Californication, Ollie. That's right, my dear. There it is. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Pellet on. Yeah. It's about the Peloton. Oh, Ollie. This is a good one. Pellet on. Right? Again, Mr. Big reference here. That's it. Right? Yeah, the bits and even placement with the kibbles and bits. Yeah, everything has to be right. Yes. Yeah. So the different eggplants were kind of in different situations, though. Yes, of course, they were mirroring how happy you're in a marriage for so many years and it's going fabulously because it's the right eggplant. And then they show you how terribly it goes when the eggplant is the wrong eggplant. That's the duality there. And of course, she's younger. This young designer, this young jewelry designer that came from California and moved to New York because she's up and coming. And who was it? Scarlett Johansson or Kate Blanchett or somebody? Because Carrie, one of the other nights when it was super loud music downstairs, she went downstairs. The door of her neighbor was open. She comes in. The neighbors fell asleep in her haute couture dress, because of course everybody can afford one. And everybody can afford to fall asleep in one and not care that it's going to rip into hair. Who cares, darling? Just get a new one. And so Carrie, honey, let me tell you, if you thought Carrie was old, I got a little something for you. No, she wasn't. Okay, sorry, maybe I'm too old. But when Carrie turned around and saw that big stereo thing, like that big sound blasting thing, if Carrie were really old, she would not know in a million years instinctively how to turn the volume down on that speaker. Because I was looking at that speaker and I was like, how the hell is she going to turn down the audio on that thing? Where is she going to turn the audio down on that thing? That thing is literally just a panel. There's no buttons. And instead, what does Carrie do? This supposedly old Carrie, she's like the youngest one of all of them. She literally just like snoops into the house. We see her sneaking like a witch. Sneaky like Maleficent. She sneaks into that. We've never seen Carrie snooping like that before. Yes, she was kind of sneaky in the original Sex and the City episode when she dated that guy who was looking for just a normal girl. And she said she's that normal girl, but then she went crazy because he was too normal to be normal for her. So when he left her home alone in his bed, she started looking through all his drawers because she was looking for something to prove to herself that he indeed is crazy after all. In all that time, he comes back for her and catches her sneaking around his house, and turns out that she's the crazy one. Remember that episode? So in a way, she's prone to sneaking. She's done it before. She's done it before, and she's doing it again. But again, we have this witch context. And also, she's wearing her black robe as she runs down the staircase to do all of this. So she's dressed like a witch as well. So again, we have that witch reference. And so she knows immediately how to... Did you see how nonchalantly she just like turns around and just like turns down the volume and sneaks in that moment of seeing the name of her neighbor and realizing that she isn't, after all, a Russian hooker, like Seema thought that her neighbor was just a Russian hooker in the city. And then, she just like turns down the volume. And I'm still thinking, how the hell did how does she know how to do that? On that machine, on that futuristic looking machine, if she's that old. Just saying. Come on. No, old is something else. Old would be me looking at that thing. Oh, hold on. I have a hair right in front of my face. Old would be me. Old would be me not seeing where is this thing. Okay. Old would be me. I still have a hair somewhere, you guys. This is so irritating. You know when you have... Old would be me trying to realize... like how to turn down the volume of a machine that, what is it? So I would be like, talk about comedic relief, me trying to find a way to turn down the audio. So anyway, she doesn't turn it off completely. She is caring. She cares about the girl. She doesn't want to just turn the music off. She just puts it down. And she turns off a candle because she doesn't want the house to burn down. Now, this is something that she did to be nice to the girl, but also to be nice to herself, because quite frankly, I wouldn't want to burn down either if I were living in that house. So there you have it. Now, Miranda, on the other hand, the whole episode actually begins with Miranda going to a, I don't know what rally that was, LGBTQ plus rights, raising awareness about transgender people, or just some gay meeting. I don't know what it was, but anyway, Che is giving her stand-up routine, but mostly motivating people to say, yeah, stand up for your rights. And there's like budget, very tiny community of people. They didn't have many extras paid to do this. It was just a small amount of people in this park, kind of. They tried to film it at an angle to make it look like it's a big crowd. But anyway, Miranda's in the crowd looking at Che. She's in love with, she's like, oh, Che. Che. And while Che's talking, Miranda realizes her son, Brady, is there with his girlfriend too. They are allies to the cause. And of course, Miranda doesn't want her son to see her there. So Miranda starts snooping away. Che sees her sneak away. Che's kind of really upset about that. But then later on, when the rally is over, Miranda comes back, wants to give Che a drink. Che says, why did you run away? What happened? What were you scared of? And Che finds out that actually Miranda was not fully honest with her or herself or her husband, because she never told Steve that she is, dating a transgender, dating anybody for that matter, behind his back. And good for Che for saying what Che said, because at this point, so many people in the comments underneath my review videos, but also commenting and reviewing in general the show, threw so much shade at Che, calling Che the homewrecker, when in reality, Che didn't even know what was going down. And in fact, Che makes it very clear in this episode and said, hey, are you not in an open marriage? And Miranda's like, no, why? And Che's like, why didn't you tell me? And Miranda's like, oh, you didn't ask, like, what? Miranda is so dumb in this, I can't. She's like the valley girl that really, really allows herself to feel anything for anybody who would give her a little bit of attention. A little bit like Blanche Dubois in A Streetcar Named Desire. Look it up. So Che is really cool there and says, hey, oh girl, okay, I am not going to do that for you. Okay, you figure your shit out. I'm not going to be responsible for wrecking your home or anybody's home. You have to be honest with yourself and with other people first, and then come back to me. If not, bah, girl, bah. And Miranda's like, what? Like, wait, so, like, what? Like, oh my God, like, okay, like. So just because she was called out on this, she decides to actually tell Steve. But before she tells Steve what happened, she talks to Carrie and Charlotte while they're having dinner, while they're having lobster. And of course, Charlotte in that conversation tells that she blew Harry. Everybody's shocked. Carrie says, was it his birthday? Were you just being nice to him? Or did Miranda say that? I don't know. But they're both throwing shade at Charlotte. And like Charlotte is the only one who actually has a sex life at this point that is somewhat healthy, right? Or healthy, maybe not, but honest. Because I'm not saying that Miranda's sex life with Che is not healthy. It's just not honest because she's not being honest to Steve. But anyway, or to herself for that matter. So here we is, and, you know, Charlotte has an issue too because she's kind of shocked that Lily saw her on her knees ready to please Harry, and she doesn't know how to approach it. And then Carrie says, well, just rebrand the situation, darling. Find a nice way to talk about it naturally with your daughter. And then Charlotte says, yes, let's have lunch, Lily and I together. Now, here comes a point where me, being the lover of Chanel that I love the brand to bits. Hold on, actually, you know what? Let me take my little baby out of its protective case. Let me take out my little Chanel moment here, okay? Why? Because this is my, first of all, Sex and the City made the clutch a big thing. I told you the renaissance of the clutch is coming, and then Sex and the City returned, and yes, Carrie does have a good clutch from time to time, but the 255 as a clutch, such a rarity, living for it, begging for it, dying for it, the quintessential Chanel bag. Anyway, living for it. Plus clutch form, so Sex and the City. What I've noticed is that Molly Rogers, girl, I got beef with you, sister. You be dressing Charlotte and her daughter, Lily, in Chanel quite a bit to portray extreme conservative uptightness. Now, yes, Chanel in many cases is really an uptight, bougie type of brand that is just embarrassing. But Chanel doesn't stem from that. The roots of Coco Chanel are not that. She comes from poverty. She comes from an orphanage. She is a self-made woman. She's everything but conservative. So dressing, in fact, in this episode alone, we have so many instances of Charlotte being dressed in the most tight-fitting, preppy Chanel outfits. It just made me cringe so much. First of all, she's at that dinner or lunch, the crab lobster lunch with Miranda and Carrie, and she has that pearl chain necklace. Now, I guess they gave her the bag on a pearl chain necklace. I guess they gave her the pearl chain necklace as a callback. And this is probably Molly Rogers' other male assistant, probably a sister. And the sister thought, let's throw some shade at Charlotte. Let's give her a pearl necklace. On her knees, ready to please, left over with a pearl necklace. And of course, fake pearls, really big ones too. So it was kind of like so obvious. But anyway, it's a Chanel bag with pearl chain. Then in the next episode, the next scene, she's with Lily at lunch where she has a fight with Lily. Lily's wearing a Chanel cardigan, super uptight, conservative. Then in the next scene, when she's talking with Lily again at home, Charlotte is wearing a Chanel cardigan, super tight fitting and uptight. Oh my God, so annoying. They're misusing the brand. They're really portraying the brand as some uptight conservative thing, which it really isn't if you really look at the DNA of the Chanel brand. So I have beef with that, Molly Rogers. You don't get away with this one. And the OG Sex and the City, also Patricia Field gave Charlotte Chanel, but Patricia Field also gave Chanel to the other ladies as well. Here it's like literally Charlotte is overdoing Chanel. In every episode, she has a different Chanel bag, a different mini Chanel bag. In every episode, have you noticed? And she also has the Chanel 19 wallet on chain when they go to the party where Che is doing the stand-up routine. Charlotte has the 19 bag there. And then when they're in the hospital for Carrie, she has a rectangular mini Chanel bag. And when they go to dinner together, she has another Chanel bag, a little bucket Chanel bag. So anyway, whatever. Girl, don't get me started on the Chanel thing. So Molly Rogers, no, girl. Yes. So, where were we? Oh, right. So anyway, Charlotte takes Lily to lunch to talk about it. Mama's on her knees ready to please. It's totally normal. She wants to talk about it because initially, when she was caught by Lily on her knees ready to please, she slammed the bathroom door on Lily and she hit Lily. She didn't make Lily bleed. She didn't give her a blue stain or nothing, but she felt really bad about it. And when she ran out of the toilet, she caught up with Lily and said, "I'm so sorry. Mommy was just checking her daddy's eggplant for cancer." Yes, that's what it was. I check his eggplant for cancer every morning, on my knees, ready to please. And Lily's like, girl. So anyway, Charlotte thinks maybe I should talk openly to her about on the knees, ready to please, in the moaning situation. So let's take her to lunch. She takes her to lunch. Lily attacks her mother for wanting to ask a waiter to bring some more water. So Lily goes to fetch her own water. In the meanwhile, Lily leaves her telephone on the table. The telephone squeaks, turns on. Charlotte sees, oh my gosh, Lily has a secret Instagram account where Lily shows herself in luscious poses, slightly sexualized, still dressed. So Charlotte freaks out and says, "You didn't tell me you have the fake the Finstagram." And Lily gets super upset and says, whatever. And then she says, "Who is this guy who liked your picture, something 55? Is 55 his age?" Anyway, super cringe moment. Lily runs off, super upset. Lily runs to Carrie. Charlotte then calls Carrie and says, "Is Lily there?" Carrie says, "Yeah, Lily's there." Charlotte's like, "Let's talk about this." Carrie says to Lily, "Lily, I'm going to the bathroom to take your crazy mother on the phone." Lily says, "Fine, but when you're done talking to her, I'm going to tell you my version of the story too." So Carrie talks to Charlotte. They kind of clear up the fact that Carrie says basically that she was a hoe too. She's like, "Hey, when we was going on and was teenagers, I was a hoe. I was wearing less than she's wearing in the photo you just sent me." And Charlotte says, "That's different. You're a hoe by nature. Lily is not a hoe by nature." Anyway, they clear that up. Lily stays overnight at Carrie's. Of course, they're loud downstairs. That's when Carrie, goes downstairs, finds that her neighbor is sleeping. She does the little witch thing of turning down the volume. So now we have that monumental scene of Miranda finally confronting Steve. And she does. And it's sad. Justice for Steve. The writers in the writers podcast said that they made buttons like Team Steve and Team Miranda in that period when they were shooting that episode. And everybody in the cast and crew got to choose which button to wear. And most people chose Steve. But the actor who acts Steve, he chose Miranda. Is that cute? He chose the Miranda button just to kind of solidarity for her because everybody hated her. So nothing. She meets up with him at home, and there's a joke about him needing hearing aid again. They didn't need. Why did she have to say put in your second hearing aid? I don't want to have to repeat this 2 times. Why degrade him even more? Like he's already become just a shadow of himself. Now you're building up a scene where you're going to break up with him. Why do you need to degrade him even more? By like saying like, "Hey, I don't want to repeat this twice. So just put in both your hearing aids because I'm going to tell it once. And only once, bitch. I want a divorce." And he's like super sad and devastated. She says, "What's your concept of happiness?" He says, "Well, I've been chasing after you all this time. I'm never good enough for you. Never. Every time you make me feel like I'm not good enough for you. And I'm too old to keep running after you. If you really want to call it quits now, then it's over." And she says, "What do you mean, Steve? 50-something is not old." He's like, well, finally we settled down. We have a quiet, peaceful life. I look forward to these simple things in life. And you know what? I completely understand him. I completely understand him. And I agree with him. You don't need to, you don't need to live like you know nothing about your existence. You know how crazy you are in your 20s, running around like a chicken without a head all over the place. Oh hell no, I don't want to go back to my 20s. No, I don't. A terrible time, terrible time. Horny all the time, confused all the time, fucking around all the time, not coming to any conclusions all the time. What a messy time. Sexy time, but a messy time. And so, yeah, I like the chill. I like that moment of like, we good, we good, we good with life. It doesn't mean you're old. It just means that you're kind of way more mature. You know more about yourself. You know more what you want, what you don't want, which is something most people don't have the luxury of knowing when they're in their 20s. So, but that's not enough for Miranda. Miranda wants to be 20 again, darling. No, this was a delicate situation. They could have phrased it in many different ways. They could have made it clear that it was more about her sexuality and her discovering a side to herself that has nothing to do with wanting more in life. It would have been more honest had they approached this from a gender sexuality point of view, and had they said, hey, I'm just realizing that I'm more into, the puseta than the eggplant. And it's new to me and I want to feel it. I need to learn more about myself. That would be more respectable. But instead, they kind of portrayed Miranda as like a teenie that doesn't know really what she wants and is ready to throw away her whole life to run after a stand-up comedian that does not seem to want to commit the way that Miranda is used to having people committing to her. Because by now she's used to commitment, because Steve really gave her everything. So now all of a sudden she's confronted with, there's a fruit fly. She's confronted with this situation. Oh, come to mama. Did I get it? You best believe I got it. There's no space for fruit flies in the fashion bunker, I can tell you that. So now she's like, she doesn't know what she's going into. But then again, I think to myself, well, you're wise enough, mature enough, old enough to know how difficult it is to have somebody really commit to a relationship, to find that peace that you found with Steve, even if it's not that sexual anymore. So you gotta be nuts, lady, to not have enough experience in your 50 years of life to know how difficult it is to start a new relationship with somebody. And especially if that somebody is barely ever even in New York, that somebody's traveling all the time with absolutely no stability of the type of stability that Miranda is used to. So how could she be so dumb to fall into that? Anyway, she was. So she breaks up with Steve. She even tells him that she met Che. We don't get to hear any of that, but we just get to hear her say, I met someone. And then they cut the scene there. And then we have Miranda rushing off to the podcast scene outside to meet Che. Che is just about to leave to fly to Cleveland or somewhere to do stand-up routine and says to Miranda, why are you here? And she's like, I told Steve everything. I want to be with you. I love you. Che says to her also, I love you, but I can't give you conventional. Miranda says, I don't want conventional. Che says, well, you ain't going to get any conventional. And then Miranda says, we'll figure it out. You go. I love you. Go to Cleveland. Go to Cleveland. It's going to be hot in Cleveland. I love that show. Betty White, may you rest in peace. The OG Sex and the City girl from the Golden Girls. She also did Hot in Cleveland. I went to the filming of one episode of Hot in Cleveland where Betty White got to meet the Pope. Well, not Betty White, her character, Olga. Olga is her character in the show. Got to meet the Pope and that, oh my God. It was an honor to have been sitting right in front of her in the studio audience, but I was in the front row and she was right there. Betty White. Oh God, I was raised on Betty White. So to me, she's like my mom / grandma / great grandma, everything. So anyway, hot in Cleveland because Che is allegedly going to Cleveland or somewhere else or Chicago. I think it was Cleveland. Anyway, so Miranda says, go. Then Miranda contacts Carrie to tell Carrie that she told Steve everything. They broke up. And that she's now flying to Cleveland. And Carrie says, I don't even know this person. Okay, girl, are you sure you want to do this? Now, if Carrie were really a good friend, she would have told Miranda, girl, don't go to Cleveland unannounced. Let Che know you're coming, because I have a sneaky suspicion Che is having fun in Cleveland. I don't know, maybe not. But you just don't do shit like that, especially if you just started dating a person. You don't surprise them with, surprise, I'm here, because no, you're not exclusive yet. Don't surprise a person. Let them know you're coming. Let them know you're coming. And if Che then says, don't come, then you know what time it is. Be clever. Be clever. Oh, you don't want me to come? Then you know that person is not serious about you. But no snooping around. No, like, I'm going to surprise them and see if they're, like, faithful or not. That's, again, for 20-year-olds, not for 50-year-olds. Just saying. And then, of course, we have Carrie. Now, Carrie is, her last scene is, she's at home. She got her little books. She's ready to go down the stairs. Oh, what she really hated when we saw the eggplant man, minus the pellets, the pellet lacking sticklet, when she left, he said, sorry, ma'am. And what really irritated her was the ma'am. And they told her ma'am twice. And that's like, she didn't care. You know, when she yelled at the people on the staircase downstairs in the middle of the night, like, shut up, keep it quiet. They said, sorry, ma'am. It's the ma'am that irked her, made her feel old. And then when he says ma'am again, makes her feel old. But in the last scene, she's going downstairs. She witnesses a fight between her neighbor and this pellet, the little pellet guy. And she's like, I caught you, having, fornicating with some other bitch. And he's like, blah, blah, blah. You're just an out-towner. I don't care. You get used to a bitch. I can fuck with my woman. Uh-oh. I'm slipping into my Bill Clinton impression again. Damn, every time we talk about pearl necklaces and we talk about how difficult it is to deal with women, I slip into my Bill Clinton. I don't know why. For the love of me, I don't know why. And Dacob is back. So anyway, Pellet Slinky leaves. She's super embarrassed. She runs into her house, shuts the door. Carrie is like, oh my God. And then she comes out again and says, oh yeah, sorry, I had to witness that. Like, you're cool. And Carrie's like, yeah, I'm cool. I know I'm cool, right? I could see the whole movie going in her head, like being like, yeah, right? Yeah, like, totes. I'm like, totes cool. Yeah. Like, I needed her to tell me, but like, yeah, I'm cool, yeah. Now, before all of this happened, obviously, Carrie did walk around the block dressed like a babushka. And she did meet her neighbor again. And, of course, she felt super embarrassed because she really looked awkward. I honestly thought the neighbor looked more awkward because I can totally imagine myself doing something crazy, bat-ass shit crazy what Carrie did. I would dress like that more than I would have dressed like her neighbor as she was leaving the house with those ugly boots. I even knew what brand it was, but it's just like, whatever, girl, you're trying too hard. You're trying way too hard, little Missy that moved from Cali to NYC. We're trying way too hard, girl. That's why you hook up with the douchebags, because you try too hard. Anyway, don't do it next time. Don't do it. And tone down the outfit, huh? So, now, I wrote it down because I always forget. They're not so memorable, these and just like that's end quotes of every episode, aren't they? Because listen to this one. So Carrie, the young chick said, you're cool. And then Carrie's like, yeah, I am. And she said, and just like, oh, no. The last scene is actually Carrie is now, it's nighttime. She's back in her apartment wearing the Versace Millefeuille dress on her windowsill, eating popcorn or whatever, buttered popcorn. I want some popcorn right about now. And she says, and just like that, I realized there are some things that should never be put into storage. End scene, end episode. I had fun watching this episode. I don't know if I have more fun watching the episode or just doing this roller coaster ride of kind of like rehashing the episode together with you guys. I'm enjoying this new Sex in the City. A very interesting point to note is that Michael Patrick King said in the writers. No, wait, who said it actually? I don't know. I was watching a couple of reviews. I was looking at a lot of different interpretations of this episode. Was it in the writer's room or somebody said something interesting, which I thought was interesting? Somebody said this, and just like that, is not kind of a dramedy comedy like Sex in the City was, but it's more of a drama. There's more silence in it. It's more real. And I agree. It is dramatic with tints and hints, with like little airbrushes of comedy woven in between. But it's getting more comedic as time passes. As we're kind of drifting more and more away from that memory of the death of Mr. Big. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, 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 I am. I am. I really am. And I'm liking the. Oh my God. Can you believe some Oompa Loompa came for me in the last episode? In the last recap, and said to me, "How much is HBO paying you to give positive reviews?" I'm like, "Bitch, don't try me." So, So just because somebody has a different opinion to yours, that means that their opinion cannot be authentic. No, because everybody has to think the same shit you think. Because if somebody thinks something slightly different from what you think, well, then they must be lying. They have to be lying. How dare they have a different opinion to you? How ridiculous is that? How limiting is that? Also, somebody else said about Che. Somebody said, still mostly white women using the excuse of, and it's not because it's like a gender thing. Not at all. It's just like she's a bad actress. I'm like, nah, I don't buy that shit. Sorry. Mm-mm. And then somebody said, I don't care about the transgender thing. I want to hate who I want to hate. I want to have the right to hate Che. If I want to hate Che, I'm going to hate Che. Like, that's the problem. I'm like, hold on. Let me tell you what the problem is, dude. I think the problem is you. Because if you have the need to hate any other human being, then boo-boo, hate to break it to you, but you're the one who's the problem. Because where's that need to hate? Where does that come from, girl? Why? What's that need that you have, that visceral need to hate? Like that you have that hate inside of you that you need to put it into words, that you have to write a comment underneath a video describing and that urge, like not describing, like putting into words the urge that you have to hate a person. A person that, by the way, you don't even know. It's a fictitious character. But a lot of people are hating also on Ramirez, on the actress. And I'm like, girl, don't do that, you guys. Not cool. Not cool, ma'am. Saw what I did there? So, you know what I mean? Just saying. Keep it real. Keep it real. JJ Diary says, if you need to hate something or someone, something might be wrong with you. Exactly. That's the thing. Thank you. You put it actually better into words than I did. But yeah, hate is such a strong word and a strong emotion. I know it's bad. Now, I'm super thrilled that you guys are with me watching these recaps like that I do, that you're with me in the chats and that you tune in later and that I have these wonderful comments from you. It is really, really amazing. And I hope that a lot of you, after the show stops airing, after episode 10, that you still stick with me and that you come back for this crazy me who does videos on a daily basis on my channel and live streams every Saturday. I hope a lot of you kind of decide to stay and join the Fashion Bunker family because, we are more Sex in the City than you think, actually, with our conversations that go down. So just saying, keeping it real, right? Miri says, the first episodes were hard to digest, but I love it now. It feels like Sex in the City again. Yeah, Miri. It just took a little time readjusting our own synchronicity and energy and synergism. Oh, that synergism. If it weren't for that good old synergism. That's what I'm saying. Unrelated, but in switching into my little Chanel pochette for dinner for a friend, and it reminded me of the Bunker homies. Yes, Joseph. I'm telling you, we the Bunker homies. And when we wear Chanel, it's for other reasons. Now, that comment that I got, which I probably can't find no more because, these comments be popping. I did not delete the comment. The comment is still there. I actually answered that person. But it was like shady. I mean, not my answer. Wait a minute, I'm a. Um, let me see. Oh, there's a lot of comments, you guys. They're interesting comments, though. Jimmy says, "You're so funny. I love this review. As a Sex and the City fan, this is so refreshing." You see, good, because, yeah, I also find And Just Like That to be quite refreshing, you guys, honestly. Um, I really do. Um, hold on, did I miss it? I probably missed it, you guys, because there's really a bunch of comments. Or maybe they canceled their own comment. But sometimes that happens too. you know, when you come with a comeback and then they're like, "Oh, yeah, embarrassing." You know? But yeah, it was something, but it was just the way it was phrased was like super funny. Oh, here it is. Somebody says Che is okay, spelled in all capital letters. Che is a female by biology, all spelled in capital letters. Get out of here, that woke shite. You can hate someone and not be an ist or a phobe. Let me take a screenshot of this. This one is worthy of framing. So I answered, if you hate a person, then you are the one with the problem, all spelled in capital letters, no matter the ism or the phobe. And I added a little Oompa Loompa emoji after that. Just saying. So this is the type of weird kind of hate that this show gets. And yes, Julie, very much that. Very much this. I ain't even going to say it because, we can't. Wait. Very much, Julie. Yeah, the isms and the phobes dying, says Joseph. I know, it was hilarious. And then, yeah, exactly. And I and then I posted the Oompa Loompa emoji. That's the one. That's the one. So, yeah. Rose says, what would happen if Cynthia Nixon was elected governor of New York? Well, then there wouldn't have been an Just Like That, because I don't think that you can, as a governing official, that you can then act in a TV show. Trump, after all, had to give up, what was it called, that show that he did? That then Schwarzenegger took over. To the chopper! Go to the chopper! You are fired! Fired! Go to the chopper! What was it called? Celebrity Apprentice. Yeah. So yeah, that's that, you guys. The Apprentice and Celebrity Apprentice, yes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this roller coaster of a ride. I'm living for it, begging for it, dying for it. I'm living for it. I'm really, really enjoying it. I can't wait for next week's episode. I've seen the teaser, the 40, 50-second teaser for next week's episode. Spoiler alert. Tune out now if you don't want to know, but giving you 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still here? Well, then you're ready for spoilers. But you can actually see the video. It's on YouTube, officially posted, so it's not a secret. Carrie's going to be talking to Steve. Steve is going to be asking Carrie if she knows how long Miranda has been snooping around. Miranda is in Cleveland or wherever, and Che and her are having a fight because she's too needy. She's following Che to her home and stuff like that. And Che is like, bitch, cool down, girl. We ain't a thing. Or something like that. And Miranda's like, what do you mean we're not a thing? She delivered her Medea moment on stage. Very opera, very Maria Callas. And so there's that. That happened. What else was... It wasn't a memorable teaser. It seemed kind of like... for like episode 9, which is almost the last one, really, episode. So we only have 10 episodes in the first season. So I'm like, not much is happening in episode, unless they didn't purposefully show us the juicy bits. They kind of kept this teaser very low key. Maybe something big is going to happen in that episode, and they're just not, they're being very cautious with the preview that they're showing us. So yeah, do we finally get Aiden? I don't know. Probably. I mean, we should, right? They did say he's in the show. You know, there needs to be more than 10 episodes, fewer storylines, says Rose. Oh, speaking of fewer storylines, yeah, some people were upset with the fact that now we're getting even another character introduced into the show, which is this downstairs neighbor. The downstairs neighbor is kind of a new character. And we didn't get to see, you know, we saw Seema a little bit, but that's it. LTW, there was no LTW in this episode. There was no Dr. Naya in this episode. But Dr. Naya comes back in the preview for episode 9. She is together with Charlotte and Carrie. They're eating a hot dog, or Miranda and Carrie. Miranda, Carrie, and Naya, I think, are together eating some hot dog or something and talking about something sexual again. And I mean, low-key preview, but you know what? Oh, Lisette. Sarah says Lisette is, yeah, Lisette. Oh, Lisette is the neighbor. The downstairs neighbor is Lisette. Sounds like a character from the Miserables, Les Miserables, you know? Yeah. Lisette is a curly-haired Anne Hathaway, I want to say. Lisette is the Anne Hathaway living in the downstairs bunker, you know, in the servants' quarters of the residence of the Bradshaw mansion. Lisette! Lisette! Ding, 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 come upstairs, Lisette! I'm ready for my supper! And then Lisette comes upstairs to bring Carrie the supper and says, here you go, ma'am. And then Carrie, I shall crop you, Lisette. No, ma'am. What did I tell you, Lisette? How do you call me? She's like, cool young chick. Cool young, fabulous, sexy chick. Dinner is served. She's like, and just like that, I was given the respect that I deserve. End scene. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next recap, you see they get crazier and crazier from week to week. I hope you enjoy your week and have a wonderful time. And thumb up this video and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about this episode. And never forget to never give up on love. Love you all. See you soon. Take care. Bye. Mwah.